Well, good morning. Welcome to the Infinite Creative Podcast. My name is Fitz, and what's your name?
My name is Sean, and welcome to the
Yeah,
podcast about creativity, freelance, and all the good stuff. And today we actually have a guest. Fitz, you want to take it
yeah,
off?
yeah. So we have KFM360 Photobooth. That was a long name, and what's your name?
Gilna, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Thank you, Fritz. Thank you, Sean, for allowing me to be on your podcast.
Good morning and
Yeah.
welcome, our first guest.
Yay!
Yes.
I mean, it's also like the timing is perfect. It's 2023, probably when this thing comes out. So it's a new year. It's a new me. We can talk about what worked this year, what didn't work, because like that's a good question for Sean too. What did work this year? What didn't work this year? Same for me. And especially we have like an entrepreneur here who is like in the photo world, and there's not many women doing it. So I think like there's a lot of questions that we can ask her. And yeah, that are the topics for today. And we go down that route, I would say.
Yeah. So first, I'll just go ahead. I'll just share, her the Instagram here. So KFM 360 Photobooth. So let me just open that just so people can kind of see some of the work you do. And yeah, Gina, if you don't mind, just taking it away and just talk us through it.
Okay, so KFM 360 Photo Booth was pretty much made in a rush. Let me tell y'all this interesting story, right? So as you could tell, there's all of these videos, right? So it seemed like it's somewhat professional, somewhat not professional. And I'm very creative, right? Because I have a podcasting production company, right? And I love being creative. However, the interesting story that started, I got proposed to in March last year, right? So I was just like, okay, fine, yay, good, good wedding, X, Y, and Z. So then that's when I started hearing about the 360 photo booth and how much people were going to charge me. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. But then I was just like, why not do it? Because it's fun, right? So then
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, let me try to generate money and income. So in that way we can have the wedding that we want. So I contacted the knot.com, and that's also faced with the wedding wire as well. And I was like, we're going to put you on a contract. I was like, sure. So stupid idea, right? They didn't do no
Yeah.
research, no quotes, no nothing. All I knew was, oh, that seems so cool. My friend is doing it too. Why not? Someone's going to charge me $1,000 for my wedding. Why not? I need to generate income. And then my fiance, at the time, he was very like, he has fear issues, and I'm like, no, we gotta do it. I have personality A sometimes. Like, let's do
There we
it.
go.
Let's just. I just want income. I just want the wedding that I want, and I don't want you to be by yourself paying for everything, right?
Yeah.
So then he was just like, oh, whatever. So, not that interesting story. I cut off the wedding. I was like, all right, you gotta go, whatever. Like, we're not working out. Maybe we're not best for each other at this time.
Yeah.
So sure enough, September came around. Sorry, I didn't give you the timelines, but September came around, and I was like, man, like, this sucks. Like, I have to stay with the bills now. I have to stay paying for a wedding dress, have a venue, and then it's just like the guy's not there. I don't want him back. And then I'm just in my head like, now I'm stuck with this contract. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to find my best. And I'm all like, you know how like when people are like, oh, let's pray for things, and
Yeah.
it's not to mock it. I'm like, let me pray to get out this contract. And I spoke to the lady. She's like, hey, the representative. She was like, hey, I'm sorry, but you can't get out of the contract. And I'm like,
What? They're that aggressive with that? Like I hear like
yes. And I was like,
so
this
I think
sucks.
like we
I'm like, I'm paying like $200 every month. And
Yeah.
I was just like, either you get paid for it or you don't get paid for it. The choice is yours. But you can literally make $1,000 every time you go there. So which one do you want? And I was like, well, Florida don't pay that well. I'll probably get a job, but it still won't pay as well. So I was just like, forget
Yeah.
it. Let me just go ahead and start. So that's how it came about.
Okay, that's also like how we met. Like we met at an Indian wedding, and I'm like, oh, she
Yeah.
has a photo booth, and I was like really surprised because like it's popping off once in a while on a wedding, and I'm like, should I buy this? Should I not buy that? So that was our talk too. Like I was like interested in like, hey, you can buy this on Amazon for $2,000, or I told you on Alibaba, you import it,
Yeah.
half the risk, and it's like $400 or $1,000 depending, but. It's like it's a high risk situation, and I'm like, obviously Amazon same day delivery is kind of great, but I was like, what? How does that work out for you? You think like right now it's like busy for you, or you kind of figured it out? So what is the situation with the market in the photo booth world? What do you feel?
So, it's so saturated. It's so saturated. So, okay, So the caveat is you can make 1,000 a day, right?
Yeah.
But the downfall is you can make 1,000 a day. So the reason why I say that is because I was collecting data, and I was just looking like, oh man, when my wedding came around, that was number one. Everyone was like, I'm not sure because everything just literally went up. The market was like, hey, gas price went up, everything went up, and I was watching the news, and they were like, teachers have to work like 2-3 jobs, and I'm like, this
Yeah.
is not gonna work, right? So because the market is so saturated, don't be like me. Please do your research. After I was like, oh, this is saturated. Like everyone has it. So I was just like, you know what? For right now, because I'm just new, I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna have to cut down my price. So it's not 1,000. I don't make 1,000 yet, but I was just like, because number one, I'm a woman. We think on emotions sometimes. And we have to be very logical. I don't have no guidance, no nothing. Number two, I was just like, because it's saturated, I want to stand out. The name KFM is like Wakina First Media, but it came from my podcast. That's number one. I don't discriminate. I welcome everyone. But then, disclaimer. Then number three, I was just like, okay, if I'm planning a wedding today, and I'm not saying that, like, okay, so I'm coming from the financial world too. So I'm like, if I'm planning a wedding today, and I make a budget, and it's this amount of money, I am not gonna pay for a photo booth. Then I was talking to another videographer that's in Tampa as well. He was like, it's not required. It's just if you want to. And I was just like, I'm gonna put my mind into someone that's budgeting, that really wants a wedding, but financially probably struggling. And then I was just like, forget it. For right now, what's working is just the lower prices, but eventually I'll get there. And because I don't know Orlando as much, it kind of like put my name and face out there. Yeah. So yeah, I hope I answered it clearly.
No, you did a good job. Like, obviously you mentioned Orlando, and so you just moved there. I don't know if you mentioned that on the podcast yet, or if we mentioned it before the podcast. And one of the things was like, okay, you're new to Orlando, or?
Yes. And then
So how do you feel with Orlando? Like, what's the situation in Orlando? Tell me.
Okay, Orlando. So I haven't explored yet because when I came, it was in the middle of COVID, and I was just like, well, everybody's like still at home. I'm like, I'm in Atlanta where like going vacationing, hiking, all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh, why is it so close? And then Orlando is a family-oriented place with a whole lot of tourists. So I was just like, how do you meet people new here outside of church? I was like, and then I worked from home. So I'm just like, this is annoying. And it is just like, oh, like.
Say the least.
Everyone's like, oh no, she just sneezed. And I'm like, relax. It's cold out here. Like for real, like it is not COVID. So it's extremely hard to meet people. I'm still going through the challenges. But one thing I do love about Orlando is so beautiful. Like Lake Eola area. And they have a little bit of an art district. Here it's still nice. It's okay. But it was just like the transition here was real because I came in April 2021 and this is now December 2022, or when this podcast comes out, it will be 2023, and it's still hard. And I'm like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to like ATL where there's other young entrepreneurs like, hey, I don't know you, but come to my house so we can network together. And I'm like, I don't know you. Or hey, come to this event. Like we're networking here, but here it's just kind of a little more challenging.
Different.
And because I still have like a 9-to-5 job, it's like, why the pay is so low? Why?
Yeah, John.
We all need raises. Like, so
Yeah.
I love, it's good and bad because the industry I'm in, it actually is good because everyone's here for a good time. So many events. I love it because of that, the industry that I'm in. But in terms of like a personal, like what I say, settled, not really. You could have it for me. The whole Central Florida.
Yeah. So, Sean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Orlando's such an interesting city, right? I mean, you are right in the middle of the event hub of Florida. You have this interesting creative market there, but it's like all Disney and Universal, right?
Yes.
It's all these big firms and big players. They swallowed up all the creativity. So there's really no creativity on the streets, right? There's not a lot of galleries and stuff. That's why I noticed when I was there. It's like, oh, Disney took all the galleries and all the people, and they're all within the castle now. We don't go to the castle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool town though. I get what you're saying.
Oh, he cut out. What happened?
Oh, am I cutting out? Sorry, that happened last time too. But the amount of small businesses in Orlando, that's what was really cool to see. Is that there's like a ton of tiny businesses all over that city. So at least you have that going for you. But yeah, I get what you mean. Where there's the creativity isn't really, it's kind of hidden. You have to kind of look for it in Orlando.
Yes.
Yeah, so what does that mean for you, Sean? Because you moved also away from like Florida and now you're in Colorado. How's this creative situation in Colorado?
Well,
yeah.
Colorado Springs is kind of similar to Orlando, right? Where we have a big problem with paying people. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I heard you're in a lawsuit about that one, aren't you?
Oh yeah. Well, we touch on that about every episode, so we won't touch on that on this one. But yeah,
pay your employees. It's important.
Yeah, pay your contractors. But yeah, so in Orlando and Colorado Springs are kind of similar too, because and we're gonna maybe touch on a little bit of political, but it's kind of a conservative town in a weird way. There's this weird conservative undercurrent. So you have this kind of past in this town of not really wanting to pay stuff, not really wanting to pay taxes, and so there's this kind of, you still find it in this town, this pushback on paying and creatives kind of value in this town. So yeah. So do you feel like it's similar in Orlando, Gilna? Gilna, do you feel like that's kind of similar to what you're saying, that there's this kind of pushback to pay for creative people and pay for kind of that extra stuff, or?
Certainly, I haven't. I've been doing my research. When I'm going out to events, speaking to different photographers, hints, friends, or like just speaking to all of them. I think that it is kind of hidden when you think about it. It is kind of like you have to know who you know. Like the old saying goes, word of mouth goes a long way. So it is kind of like that. It is. I definitely agree to that. So yes.
Well, it's interesting because you're in one of those things where it's you could really blow up just by making everyone's day even more amazing, right? So
yes,
so I was just gonna compliment you more. So it's really, so you have to be like really good at like being social and just creating stories. I mean, tell us a little bit about that. Just kind of learning how to make someone's day, how to make a huge impact.
So Sean, right? Fritz, real talk. Like I love media, right?
Yeah.
I know this is not like all about me. And I love this interview, but it's just kind of like, okay, I'm not really used to it. But I'm going to say it anyways, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to making someone day, so I'm Haitian, right? Haitian American. I was born here, but my household was Haitian. Nothing Haitian, like everything, right? Mm-hmm. The music, the radio station. So you feel like you're living in Haiti in America. Like it's so weird, right? Yeah. So my dad and my mom used to listen to this guy named Pimon Book. Right? It was a Haitian radio station. He goes over everything, the data in Haiti, the data in America, like everything. It was so interesting in Creole, of course, to relate to his audience, right? So I was like 5 years old, and I just love the fact that every morning he would just like, good morning. Like, and then to me, and then it was so much energy in the conversation. It was just like, good morning, this, and I'm just like, wow. Like early in the morning in my ears. And then that's when the thing is, it was the sparking of interest of wake up. It's a new day. Thank God. Like, let's get it moving. So I was like 5, 6 years old. So ever since then, I was like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to sit up here and go to work like my dad. He's an entrepreneur too. He did landscape. I was like, I don't want to do no hot sun. I don't want to be like my mom. Like,
Florida, I'm just saying.
And we're in Miami, Florida. Listen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, And then that's when the other thing too, I was just like, I don't want to be like mom. Like, it was just so much. And she's like, be a nurse, be this. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, girl, blood. I don't even, But anyways, right? So I was just like, that's what I want to do. So I wanted to be into broadcasting. I was like, okay, I want to do it on the radio. Something that's really low key. At the time, there was no social media. There's nothing. You just come in, act like whatever, and then you leave home. And I was like, I love radio. I'm not ever going to be on television, right? So to answer your question, it kind of aligned with what I always wanted to do anyways. It's make someone day. Because when I am at events, it was just like there was this kid, I don't know if I'm going to display it on his social media. He was just like, what do I do? And he was just stiff. Like, he just didn't know what to do. And I was just in my head like, that's crazy. Like, as a kid, you should know your personality. You should know if you can dance. You should not, just outside looking in. So then that's when I was like, okay, fine. And then there was this woman, she couldn't walk. So she needed a walker. Like, not a walker, I don't know what it's called, but pretty much where they sit down and it rolls for you.
Oh, the wheelchair? Yeah.
Wheelchair, there you go. It's like a wheelchair, but not a wheelchair. It's like, it looks like a wheelchair, but it's not a wheelchair. Like, it's weird. Anyways, right? You probably notice it when you go out now. Right? And then she just couldn't walk. And then she had like a fear of being on the machine. And I'm just like, no, like, you're not spending. She was like, are you sure? And I was like, you're not spending the the tripod is spinning. And then she was just like,
Oh,
you sure?
she was
I
on the
just like,
360 photo booth in a
yes,
wheelchair.
Yes, because she couldn't
Oh.
walk. So we were just like, okay, they were just like, hey, can you put a chair? And I was like, yeah, put a chair. And then maybe you'll be a little confident. So the first time she cried, and I'm like, I told you it's not going to be. She was just like, oh my gosh, I was so scared. And then the second time, I was just like, okay, can we actually act like. And then she was an older woman, right?
Yeah.
She had to be like my mother's age. So like around, no offense, mommy, but like around 60-something, right? 60-something. So I was just in my head like, girl, you young, keep up. You know, trying to encourage
So
her.
awesome.
So it's just like, that was a little simple. Then you have, I'm not going to say the culture. Then you have other women that are a little more demanding and trying to make their day. So I was just like, okay, fine. Either way it goes, some are challenging, some are simple. But I was just like, it kind of goes with making somebody's day, knowing that you could dance and some people drink, some people don't drink. And then the thing about it too, it was just like, okay, can you just be yourself for once? And then I'm thinking like, oh man, I don't want to sound so direct and rude. But then they were just like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, okay, good. Okay. As long as I don't sound rude, it doesn't reflect on the business. It doesn't reflect on me as a person, personally. I'm just like, can you just be yourself? You look beautiful. Keep going. You know?
Yeah, that's the right
and
attitude.
I know, people struggle with insecurities, but I'm just like, just look good. Like, relax. Like, who cares who's watching? Relax. Like, you know.
Yeah, I think that
So
that
it's
is a
really
really
fun to do that.
Yeah, it's a really good point because that's why I also approached your booth. Like, I was like seeing the booth in the back, and in the beginning, it was not that busy. I'm like, there's nobody standing there. There's nothing going on. I was like, how does it work? Because from the outside, it looked very intimidating, you know? Like, you imagine, like, if you listen to this now, it's just a disc on the floor, and there's like one stick going up, and what that stick does, it spins around the disc basically, and you stand on the disc, and then it gives you like a slow motion video of you doing stuff, what is pretty neat if you're with like friends and stuff there. But I'm also like, how do you start it, how you do it, do you hook up your own phone? And I feel like there's like a guidance and assistance needed. What were your like first struggles starting out? Because like obviously when you just buy that thing and you just step on it, do it, it's different than like, oh, now I'm showing up on that event and like now I have to coach people doing this. Or what were the struggles?
Oh, the struggle is so heavy. Like, oh my goodness, it's so heavy. I'm like, I want a child. This is too heavy for me. I was like, I need to go up on the
that's a
stage
nice
so I can
comparison.
pay somebody. Like, it's so heavy. But the challenging is the fact that like, I thought you would think like everyone's speaking about the photo booth, right? Or maybe because like, you know, Fritz, you're a photographer, so you're like in that industry. So a lot of people don't know. They're like, do I just stand around? And I'm like, no, like you can do whatever you want. I have a remote in my hand. So the minute you say yes, it's no problem. You can do it. Now, the interesting part about the photo booth, you could use an iPad or you could use an actual phone. I use my phone because it's easier. And on top of it, it helps me stay off of my phone. So I'm like, okay, cool. It makes me look more professional.
That's a good move right there.
It's a good move. I like that.
I'm like, do not disturb. And I'm like, good, I'm not on my phone. I could attend to the person because I have a busy schedule. So, but I don't want to be like uninterested or rude, whatever. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to be off my phone. And then the ring light where you're coming in at, it's actually, I have a light where it has the phone. And then on the bottom, I'm not sure if you were able to see it, that it has the iPad on there. You could use the iPad or the ring light. So with that being said, I think that I have to work on how to explain stuff. Because what's secondary to me is not going to be secondary to you. When I first got on there, the first time, I never went on the photo booth before I started the business. I went on the photo booth because I started the business. So, that being said, yes. I was like, I wonder, what do you do for real? And then when I had so I learned in business, you give complimentary services. So my first event was free. So I was just like, okay, let me get the kinks out of the way. And then when I went on there, I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. And then the second time I was like, this is even more weird. Because I feel like it's like a turnaround if somebody's watching you with the camera in front of your face, right? So then the third time I was just like, oh, okay, I feel like a little bit of a celebrity, like someone's always watching me. And then the fourth time I was like, I could explain it. But with barriers, language barriers, it's a process, y'all. It's a process.
Yeah. Like Sean and I had an experience about photo booths where we tried something out for the first time, and there were a couple kinks in there.
Oh, let's talk about it. Which ones?
Yeah, so Sean, explain what did we do?
Well, one day Fitze had a great idea to have a photo booth at the Renfest. And, we had about a day to prepare, I think. And, so
No concept, no anything. And
no
in
concept,
1 or 2
no
days,
anything.
In 2 days, we made it happen.
It's been to a Ren Fair. They know that some of those people prepare all year for the Ren Festival. So here we are coming in, just coming in nice and fresh. I think we were getting the square put together in the car on the way there. And, it was an interesting experience. It was funny because once you're in it, and I'm sure you've had this, Gilna, that once you're in it, you can't leave, right? You're already in the wedding. There's no putting the tail between your legs and running out the door.
You walk out.
You just got to make it work now. Now you just got to make it work. So that's the funny thing about weddings. I mean, I know Fitz has worked at weddings. I used to do a lot of wedding invites and stuff as a designer, and I definitely can say that, sometimes you're the hero and sometimes you're the villain in the wedding. So it just depends on how well things go. So it's an interesting experience. I'm sure those first weddings for you were a little terrifying, right? Walking in and being like, oh God, I can't just like jump out the window if this goes wrong. I have to kind of sit in this.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes.
That's the sounds I make at weddings too.
Sean, you're supposed to say yes. That's what you're supposed to do at the wedding.
But I
anyhow,
want to show some of these videos as well. I know earlier I kind of went quickly through them, but let me. I just want to show kind of some of these actually end up looking really awesome by the end. I mean, it's kind of. It's really cool. Like, especially.
I like the background.
Yeah, you get these cool backdrops and. Look at that. It's just like people are having so much fun. That's the coolest thing is you get these big smiles. I mean, let's get another one here. Just because that's one thing I see in all these. It's consistent. Everyone's having fun.
Yes. I don't like those videos. Like the newer videos are like, yay, but those videos I'm like, oh.
All right, we'll go the newer ones.
I'm a little amateur.
I know. It would torture us too if I showed our old work. So no. Here's the new stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to do the volume as well, or?
Oh no, like it's on the. It will be not on the podcast because it's an external thing. So it's like, don't even try. We will maybe hear it, but it will just like ruin it.
But for everyone out there, KFM360 Photobooth, and it'll also be in the description. So go there. She's got awesome music as well on these. These are awesome.
Yeah. On that note, like, we also talked when we met at the event, like, about like you're like, did you went to Full Sail for videography? And I'm like, nah. So what is your experience or views about school creativity, and what is your spin on that? Because like we talked about it a little bit. Sean and I always debate, should you go to art school or should you not? And that's like our back and forth kind of sort. What is your spin on that?
So, I believe that education is something that no one could take away from you. Whether it's a piece of paper, whether you're just a geek, right? Because I'm a geek sometimes too. But, and you're always a student in life. So, I actually went to Florida International University for communication. Okay. Looking back, it is very expensive. But one thing that I regret is not applying for scholarships, not applying essays, not applying myself out of school. And not like making my grades better and studying harder. And instead of working so much, like just take advantage of being at my mom's house and she's, doing certain things. Or I should have just shacked up and moved somewhere that was convenient so I could focus more on school. Mm-hmm. So I don't regret that. I just regret how it happened.
Okay.
That's
a good
the
point.
only thing. Because I didn't take out loans for school. I took out loans to live. Because I didn't have the money. I was just like, whatever, that's shebang. So, but when it comes to like actually learning, I would say, hey, go to a trade school, go to a school that's smaller, unless you're looking at the future-wise. So creativity is something that has been inside of me for years. I was never able to spring it out because my mom was like, you're going to be a lawyer? No, she had it whole planned out. I'm going to be a basketball player, get a scholarship, and then be a nurse. I'm not doing that, right? It's such a culture.
That's a little bit...
The bar's high. The bar is high.
It's a culture thing. Like the one thing about all Haitians, they'll tell you, they're like, "Oh no, my mom told me I'm gonna be a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, something," and they have your whole life planned out. I came to America for you to have a good life, so this is what you're gonna
sign up for this.
Yeah, like have fun, lady, and I'm like a spoiled child.
Just keep on planning. We do nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna look rebellious. Don't do that. Like So, but to answer the question, in the longer term, creativity takes time. People have to discover who you are. So you have to work these 9-to-5 jobs. I remember my professor always said, Professor Perez, if she ever listened to this, I'm pretty sure she's a very open professor. And she always said, you're going to work 2 jobs for the rest of your life. A 9-to-5 job just to make it, and whatever you want, what you're passionate about. And then I just kind of took that advice, and it was just like, you know what? Yes, you do need a degree because it takes time. And nowadays, if you don't have a strong support, meaning like somebody's going to pay everything for you, everything. I mean, even food to eat, or you're going to get on like, I don't know, government assistance. Sorry to say it, but you have to have a degree in order to get any job. And it doesn't have to be like, let's say like I don't know how, but you know, I feel like it's a whole spiritual thing. But anyways, I don't know how, but I have a communication degree, but I ended up working in banking. And all they cared about was you have a degree. And that was it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, most companies don't even care about what degree subject. They care about like your skills, all of that stuff. So when it comes to creativity, I feel like just like motivation, it's something that has to be within you. A degree is not going to create creativity for you. However, it will help you along the way, meaning like, I'm not a graphic person as much as I thought. I thank God for Canva. Hey, what's up? That's my best friend. But I'm not going to go to school.
Sean's not, or? Sean, what's your spin on Canva?
Listen, yes, that's best friend right there. But if somebody said, hey, you want to go to school to be a graphic designer, I think that it enhances. But the creativity is already in you. So in that way, you can learn these terminology so you don't sound ignorant. Imagine being a nurse and you're like, oh, that thing that's on your arm. Do you mean whatever the word is? You just have to sound very smart, be very professional, and know what you're talking about, so people could actually pay you. We're not gonna trust you if you just say the thing. Don't take it. I'm in the hospital. Don't take it. You know. So it's just like
there's trust with language. You're right with that. There's a lot of trust in language that you build.
Oh yeah. So that's my thing, is that get a degree for the 9-to-5 or for your business, but don't get a degree to be creative. No, it's already in you.
Sean, what do you say on that one?
Well, no, I love that. No, it's like you've kind of touched both our sides in how you think about it. Really, I mean, it was a good middle ground. Because I mean, really, I agree, because you know when you have an education, right, you're in these spaces that are intense, right? They're like, no, we're gonna learn, and we're gonna learn quickly, and it's really cool because it teaches you the kind of the fast pace that you're gonna be in, right? Like, you know, I think people that don't go into college, they kind of go from 0 to 100, or at least they try to go 0 to 100 in a job, and it doesn't necessarily work out. I've seen those people that, you know, they've learned on YouTube, they've done that, and then they try to get into a fast-paced like design firm, for example, and they're just blown out of the water. Because, you know, when you're in school, I know for me it was, you know, you have 5 different assignments, and you have this other thing on the side too, and you better take notes on that. Oh, and we're reading this other random book in this other class, and so it's just this kind of feverish pace of like, you got to keep doing, and so I know I came out of college with this intensity. Like I had been a boot camp, right? You couldn't scare me. But then, you know, some of the people that I would see, like, that kind of just got there through, you know, maybe having awesome Instagrams or just knocking on the right doors or knowing the right people. They were, you could just see the shock in their eyes, and they were like, wait, I have to fit 20 hours of work in 10 hours of a day. This is insane. How are we going to do this? So that's what cool thing about school is it kind of whips you into shape. It gets you going quickly. So that's why I tell people is if you want to put rocket fuel into the gas tank and get going, that is one good thing school can do for you. But what you said was also right too, is you don't have to learn creativity. You're exactly right. It's you sitting on the floor with coloring books. It's you dancing as a kid. You already knew creativity, right? So you don't need to get taught that. But yeah, you have to keep doing the side gigs. You have to keep going out there and doing the fun stuff. And I agree with you. I did the same thing in college where I actually almost had the opposite, where I was working too hard in college, where I didn't see the whole experience around it. I could have been, you know, painting on the side. I could have been going out there and networking at the clubs or networking at firms, or, you know, going and doing that, where I was that guy that was like, well, if I get an A+, that means I'm going to be a successful designer someday. And that's not necessarily the case, right? So yeah, no, I love that answer. You kind of hit both of our sides. You need school, but school won't teach you how to be creative. So you kind of need both. That's awesome.
Yeah. if I talk from my experience, like I lived in Germany my whole life, and I went through school too. But I went through like all the levels of school, like from the bottom of the barrel up to like similar to college, and then I went into trade school, like as an electrician. The thing is, like, after I became an electrician and I worked for it, and I'm like, okay, you get like that weird experience about like I know it, and now I'm like a full-fledged person kind of sort, like after you like finish your first year in a job, you feel like an adult, and you know how to do it, how to finish a task and whatever. And I got that, and like now I'm like, when I moved to America, I'm like, okay, should I go to college? And all we'll get is like the same experience, because I made the same experience. Like after you have the degree, nobody cares. They want to know what skills you have. Are you capable of doing the full thing? Basically. And you could even do then a different job because you have the confidence in yourself because you went through the levels basically. And I'm like, I don't have to go again for school to get the certifications and feel like I can't finish those tasks because like I had that confidence, and I'm like, I think I could save that money because in Germany school is way cheaper than in America. So I was like, I didn't see the value, like school is free in Germany. So I went through all the school for free. And I'm like, why would I pay now to go through all of those things just to feel like I could do it when in the end I just have to convince somebody like, hey, I got the skills, And that's what you do with like your interview, your like Instagram, like when you build that portfolio and you show externally like, hey, I can do this. This is easy, And that's what they want to see when they hire. Obviously, they want to check like, oh, you got that certification. What definitely will help, and for certain things, it's required. But by some things, like in the creative world, you can skip around. I feel like, because like Sean said, like you compare people like who just do cool thing on social media, and I want cool thing, but they don't have the certification. So that's how I saw it, and I'm like, that's why we're going back and forth. It's more about the price. It's more about the price in our opinion, I think. Like,
you almost sold me on going to school in Germany. Like, hey, I could be the citizen.
Yeah, me too.
Free healthcare, free school. Come on, girl.
Free education. Okay, well, I'll get married to a German and then move there. For sincerely, I'm like, because school is so expensive here, and I've heard that in London as well, how it's free, and I'm like. So get married to someone that's over there. Like, be like really risky and crazy.
You should not say that on record. Just say
it. The Germans are already in the DMs. The Germans are already coming in the DMs right now. Oh God.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, that is also a really great segue. What are your plans for 2023?
2023, I am hoping to launch my actual podcast. After like a whole year. Yeah. It's been like years in the making. So it's going to be called Your Entrepreneur Sister. Or kind of like faith and business me. Because I'm just like, I could be religious, but it's just like, because of my religion, I'm like, you could be human. Like, relax. Like, don't do that. Don't overdo stuff. Like, and don't put yourself in a box, pretty much. So that's my plan. And then I also want to get like leads like crazy. So my only plan is just thinking about, I don't even know, maybe you guys could talk me out of this. That I'm like, won't we just make like ebooks for like these rental business and like have people do these, learn from you, And that's pretty much it. And I want to travel a lot. So, hey, Germany.
I think like this is actually a really interesting thing that sparked my creativity for 2023. You could make an ebook. My first year owning a photo booth, write it out, like write a little ebook, put like 20, 30 tips in there, charge like $3, get a website with a click funnel, and just like whoever is interested in the search term, it will pop up if you create content around that. And then you basically just like, oh, buy my ebook for $3. This is my first year. The things I wish I would have changed. Or let's do this podcast.
No, right. That's true. Yeah.
Because like there's like things that you could have changed. What would have you changed? Like if you would start out, just like actionable points, bullet points, if you can.
So I would literally, again, research. Please do research first to know how much you're investing. Because when I met you, Fritz, I was just like, wait, Alabama? I did not know that. I did not know they sold the 360 photo booth and I could have saved so much money. I did not. If I knew that, I would have been like, hey, let's do it. And I'm not mad at how I did it, but it's just, if there's a cheaper route, why not? Or if there's a more balanced or more budget friendly, why not? That's number one. Number two, network. Despite like the emotions I have to go through with breaking up the engagement, blah 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 blah. Like network your butt off because I'm still young. I think that I'm not as young because it's I'm not in my 20s.
Yeah, I mean, like we all in the same boat here.
Right? But I would say network even more because even when I'm going through events, like thank God I met like Fritz because like he's so open. But if he wasn't open with me, I don't think I'm still going as crazy as it sounds. I'm still kind of shy. Like, what do I say? Am I saying the right things? I don't want to sound ignorant. I don't want to like seem like I'm too much for someone. Because in my personal life, they're like, wait, hold up, slow down. And I'm like, I'm just a burst of like, I don't know, sunshine. Like, good morning, like all in someone's face.
That's a good spirit to have. Like, I'm just a personal sunshine.
So I'm just like, I know I could be all in someone's face and some people like it, some people don't. So I'm like, what are they going to say? Some actionable ways is learn how to network. Even if if you get on YouTube for creativity, we should also be able to get on Google or something about professionalism and just put myself out there instead of being so shy. And then number 3,
gotcha.
Always put myself out there. Emails still work. Emails still work.
Oh, emails.
Wait,
emails still
what's
work.
That? Email story. Now I'm okay.
Emails, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Sean told me, and I'm like, I felt like, I'm in my rut, like after you do something for so long, you have your way, and you're like, oh, this works, this doesn't work, but you actually didn't really give it a shot. You just played with it, and in your head is like, I tried that didn't work, but you just did not put in like the volume or the hours, and I'm like, it's really hard to always break loose and like try it again and give it like a real good shot, and that's what I feel I have to do with emails because I don't do emails. We were talking about like sending out questionnaires, for all our clients that we have last year. That's a good move for you. You're like, what could I have done better? What did you like? Yada yada. A couple questions. You get feedback and you maybe see what they liked or didn't like. And I'm like, I should do that, but I didn't because I don't like emails. And also but I should do that because there's like knowledge in there, If you get feedback, it's the best thing to get.
Yeah. And one add on to that, even emails, one thing that I say I'm going to get better at every year and I fail every year, but I do want to get better at, I'm sitting here getting stressed about it, so it's right there, but is that writing handmade cards and things like, or just sending a card at the end of the year that just says, hey, you were a client this year, I hope you and your family have a great holiday, it's been a great 2022. Just simple, just it doesn't
just being
no
nice.
Marketing, no ask, no if you have another wedding or if you have another video or if you have another website, it's like, no, just say thank you, I hope you guys thank you for being a client this year and I hope you guys have just that stuff. I've seen those little kind of safe like thank yous, those lead to new jobs because then they just had a positive moment. You just gave them another smiling moment and they're not even at the wedding, they're not even at the gig anymore, and you're making them smile still. Right. So that's something I know for me, as a web designer, most web designers out there are just kind of, cold. They have their glasses on, they're in their office, once they make the website, they're kind of like, please get out of here. I got another website to do, and so if you can break that, I've learned it's like people want that warm web designer. They want that person that's a real person. So I love one thing you said where you're like, I have a hard time at events, not because you're too social or anything. It's because you want to be genuine. You don't want to be this kind of small talking, kind of weird kind of presence at these weddings. You want to be real. You want to like actually be a nice person. And I have the same problem too, where I don't want to be fake nice. And so I get to these events and I'm just kind of like, how do I get in there? I could be like, how's the weather? Oh, the weather's great. And just all these kind of small talk stuff. But I'm like, no, I want to have real talk. How's your day? How are you? So I kind of have the same problem. I almost overthink it. I go to these events and I'm sitting there kind of doing calculations in my head. How do I go into that conversation and be genuine?
There's a trick to it, Sean. And there's a trick to it. Just don't think and just do. That's what I do. That's why I sound like an idiot sometimes.
Oh my God, no, you do not. No, you do not. That's number one. No.
Because like the more you think, especially it's like, when you're like, I don't know if you have a pool with a jumping tower or whatever to jump into the pool. If you think about it, like this is pretty deep. Should I jump in there, or how deep is it actually? And then you build up that fear and it's just boiling and you're just like, oh, I guess I climb down the stairs just to be safe. Instead of like, oh, let's just do it and see what happens, It's the best thing for a conversation. Just say the stuff. And there's always like a 50-50 chance if they like you or not. And that decision is already made in the get-go, you know, like when they see you, they already know if they like you or not. That is like
That's true.
their thing. The only thing you can do is like open your mouth and figure out what they really think, you know, and you just need to filter them out. Like, oh, they don't like me. Well, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, for me, it just comes back to just ask questions. That's what I end up doing. If you ever want to know what I do when I get nervous at an event and I'm sitting there, I just start asking questions. So what do you do? Oh, that's cool. So how is that? And just start riffing. I mean, you know, so you know, and that's probably led to this podcast now, right? Where we're really good at riffing and they're like, well, how are you? How's that make you feel? What's next year look like? You know, but I think you know, obviously people love
Sean really insecure, like, oh,
Right?
yeah.
Like, don't show it. That's it. Just don't show it.
Just don't show it.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, but yeah, no, I think yet again, I think it's really interesting because what you do, Gilna, is like so connected to like the interaction with people. That those moments, that's the most important part. Is you making the joke, or you handing some of those props over, and there's just these little interactions. I'm sure that you've already noticed that. Yeah, it's a stand. Yeah, it's a camera going around, but it was that one thing you said, or it was that one thing that made everyone crack up, and they were like, you know, it's kind of interesting where you're part of it too, right? They're not just renting this photo booth, they're renting Gilna as well. They're renting you as well.
Right.
yeah.
So
That's actually like a big point too. Like it's about the personality, because like you have to approach the photo booth and then you're like, oh, that looks kind of scary. How does it work? There's a lot of questions in your head when you see it. You kind of want to do it, and like the person standing next to the photo booth has to break this. You know, it's like you have to be like inviting, hey, God, just come over. You looked at it, it's great. You know, and but yeah. Yeah. On that note, I'm still curious about what was like working well for Sean in 2022 and what is 2023.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's, you know, sending cards, things like that. All the small things I've noticed I need to get a little better at because they're not really small. You know, saying thank you, just checking in with people. But, you know, for me, I think, you know, I love that you brought up the networking because I think we talk about it a lot on this show. I think for me, it's also a little bit of the networking, right? Getting out there, in person, shaking hands, meeting people, going, you know, for me, it's like going to design meetups, going to art gallery openings, things like that. You know, even if I'm alone, just going and, you know, making a scene in some way, you know, going and asking people and talking to people. Because what I've learned, and I've had a lot of friends have to tell me this, is I'm more of an omnivert. You know, I'm not I'm not someone that's like an extrovert. I'm not someone that's really introvert. I'm someone that's introverted before the event, right? I'm the guy that's sweaty palms, scared in the car, like arriving, like, okay, here we go. We're going to go in. If it's bad, we're going to get out. And, you know, I'm that guy. But then, you know, once I'm in the event, though, I'm the life of the party. Everyone's around me. I'm like, woohoo, yeah, look, I'm super.
Oh, and it's gone.
That's like the interesting thing I've noticed. That's the weird thing I've noticed is I have to push myself to get there. If I can just get there, Sean, just get to the event. Just stumble into the room, look weird for 5 minutes, and it'll go just fine. So that's the thing I'm kind of working on.
Yeah. I feel...
How about you, Fitze? Right back at you.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like we said, like already networking, and I feel like networking is kind of key. I even was chatting yesterday with Chat GPT free, you know, like that AI software where you can ask anything and it's free and it will answer you like in a paragraph. And I'm like, how do you get more clients? Networking was number one, kind of. And I'm like, what the hell? So every industry, it's about networking. And obviously it mentioned also portfolio. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting because like the weird part about me is like, I don't put my portfolio up. I don't upload client videos and I'm like, I should do that. And I'm just like, I don't know why I didn't do that, you know? And so I want to improve, like in 2023, my portfolio so that you can easier share, like, hey, this is a banger video, or hey, this is a banger thing. And, you know, so see more social proof, like put out more social proof and actually be like more consistent and actually put more effort in, like, I feel like sometimes you're like, okay, should I do this? And you're like, nah, I gotta chill now. I gotta do something else. And I want to take those barriers away. I want to be like more like I should just edit till it's done, and no matter what it costs, like a little bit more self-destructive.
No.
No, I mean like in a creative way, you know, like
Okay.
when you sit there, you do something creative, and you're just like, should I now just chill and watch TV and not finish this thing, you know? And I'm just like, no,
Right.
just ignore the TV, ignore certain things, you know. There's some things that I don't want to ignore, but art has a price, and I think like Sean and I have like a big episode planned where we're like going into that, where creatives are like basically just like take all the barriers away and just go all in into art. And I kind of want to amp that a little bit more up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually.
But the
really
networking
good.
part was like the one thing that worked for me in 2022. I feel like it wasn't networking, being helpful and open to other people, and just like, yeah, do more of that. That's my goal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now that is something that I feel like that's your strong suit so far. I mean, this is my second interaction with you, but that's your strong suit because it actually helped. People like Sean and I break out of like, oh, okay, good. He's talking to me.
Okay, good. We're
Yes.
safe.
So it's
We're
really
safe.
yes. And then the thing about it too, you'd be surprised like how much that small interaction. Like, okay, cool. I can learn from that instead of just like like being like, okay, cool. I have a real life person. I know I said YouTube earlier, but I was just like, okay, I have a real life person that can do that, and as well as be a soundboard for somebody. Because again, I may have to DM me and say, hey, how do you approach this? Have you ever did this type of
Yeah.
culture wedding? Like, what do they like? What do they common thing? Because other than that, you only have Google.
Yeah,
It's true. It's true, and it can be very isolating, right? If it's just you and Google, it's like you feel really alone, and so yeah, it takes a village, and I think it's the same with a business, right? It takes a village to raise a good business, and so
No.
yes, you need people to do all the stuff to help you, and so yeah, I'm still learning the same thing, right? Too is give work away that you don't want to do, give it to the people so you can focus on what you want to do. So I think that's also some of this next year I want to get better at is, kicking Fitze more video work, kicking other people code stuff because I don't want to do code. I just want to make good looking stuff. And, so just getting back to like, what is it you want to do? And so you need people to do that. You need friends. You need partners.
Oh, yeah.
Any future prediction for 2023? What is in your crystal balls, guys? I'm kind of curious. If you would have judged the market, judged the opportunities, is there more coming? Is there less coming? I want to feel the vibe from the creators. What is the prediction? So it's January, and we're just like, should we go all in? Should we step a little bit back? Should we play it more safe? What is the spirit for you guys? I want to hear opinions. First, Sean.
Yeah.
Okay. Safe?
I'm still thinking.
Well, yeah, you always hear all of the fun stuff in the financial world of like how rocky everything is or maybe is going to be. So I always tell people to be at least a little bit careful. You never know, with China now doing another COVID run, it seems like COVID's doing another world tour,
Right.
things like that. So
Not the
hopefully it's the farewell tour, but but
For humanity or COVID?
For real.
I know I really didn't say that.
That was good.
That's the wrong word, Sean. Wrong word.
But so with that, I always tell people, lean in, but don't lean all the way in where you kind of where you can kind of explode. But
Okay.
I think we're in a good spot though, where we have all these new tools, right? We have AI hitting the market in a huge way. We see all this new technology just coming so quickly, right? Like it doesn't matter really what you do. There's already new technology. Or there's a new way to look at it, right? And so
Yeah, every month it's crazy.
So I would say
Right.
this year, if you've always been very resistant to researching new technology and being part of it, I'd say if there's a good resolution, that's a good one. Is this year, like, don't be scared of new technology. Dive into it. I know me as a designer, I get old and curmudgeon-y when I hear about like Canva and I hear about all these kind of easy to design tools. Who needs a designer when you can design your own? And I've
No,
always
you
held
still
back.
need it.
I don't.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Good answer. But dive into it, learn it. I've said this in the past. Even if you don't like technology that's taking over your job, know thy enemy. Get in there. Know the technology. Understand the technology. So that's what I would tell everyone is, experiment. This is the year of experimentation. If you didn't experiment last year, start this year. Start January 1st. Google something that would maybe upset your field, right? Like what's replacing web designers, and dive into it, figure it out, understand it, and they'll help you become a little bit better, I would say. So that's what I'm thinking this year is going to be. It's going to be a lot more technology. We're going to just see this just keep blowing up, just new technology and new technology.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How about you, Julia?
So, technology was gonna be one of my thing. Is technology and like let's just get rid of that word fear. Cause, right?
That's a good one.
Like, I think that COVID, not the world tour though, but no, like seriously, like okay, like to be like compassionate, like a lot of people passed away because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
But if you're still alive, thank God. Okay, cool, right? Let's have some gratitude, right? But one thing about COVID taught you, technology is going, it's going forward. So when you're thinking that you have your job, let's say that you have, like even the other day, yes, I'm not embarrassed because that's where I buy like all of my business things at Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
They have
I
like
do
a
too.
self checkout. I'm like,
At
for a
Dollar Tree?
Really? Wow.
Yes.
It's coming
I
around.
was like, yeah, so I'm just like, if you don't know anything, it's the STEM program. I'm like, if you don't know anything that have to do with STEM, meaning like, is it science, technology, engineering, mathematical?
I think so.
You need to know it now for 2023, and just stop. Like everything already, old things pass away. Like, come on, let's push forward with faith, because all things are possible, right? So that's my two thing for 2023. Just going in, like, life is short. Technology is kind of going over. Now we have Google. You need to sit up here, do your research, and just walk and go.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
good
but
advice.
I'm scared. No, go.
Yeah.
Go. Because other than that, like, even like again, I'm gonna bring these people up again. But like my parents' generation, they're like, oh, I don't know anything about technology. Teach them how to do, like, teach them how to do, teach them how to, knock on old elderly's doors. Teaching them about technology because they're gonna have to apply for their social security on computers. They have to do everything on technology because of COVID. Everything went on Zoom. So
I can't
learn
imagine.
these things.
Like right now, that's a good point. Like I can't imagine all those old people who are like 70, 80 plus, and they're just like, don't go out. How do you apply for anything? They probably have like a regular phone, and they have to wait on the line and hope there's a person, and not like, oh yeah, please press 1 for this, and they barely hear. This is like such a crazy time.
Yes.
I did not even thought about that.
So I'm just, yes, because even my dad was like, I don't want to hear you complain about stuff. You young. Go to learn how to do stuff on computers, and then you'll be okay with a job. Other than that, I don't want to hear it. Because my age, it's very hard for us to learn. I'm like, oh, can you have some compassion? Like, let me cry my heart out. And he's just like, no, stop complaining. You'll be okay. You're young. I'm like, well, but it's true though.
Have you seen
Technology
COVID though?
Yeah, like
They
like,
haven't dealt with that either. It's like it's not easy for anybody. But yeah.
yeah, so I could imagine the elderlies and and my dad again. He's been an entrepreneur his whole life, but he doesn't really know much about computers because he never had to deal with it. But now it'll be beneficial for him. But he's just I don't know.
Yeah, and what,
But
what's scary is that could be us. That's the scary part, right? Is like
That will
we're
be us in the
you
future.
know, like the technology is just getting
Yes.
faster and faster and faster. So yeah, if we don't even try to keep up, can you imagine in 20, 30 years, like you're just gonna be confused. You're gonna be like, wait, what? There's a projector that delivers my pizza now. I don't understand this. Like it's gonna be
you
so
see?
far gone, you know.
So I had that.
Because even like in school, they're doing everyone have laptops. I'm like in second grade. Come on. But what you're saying, I'm sorry.
True.
Oh yeah, different times you live in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had yesterday
Yours
that
was
experience too. Like I was like looking around for the internet, and I'm into 3D printing. I print my lens holders and stuff like that. Where you can put your lenses, and I sell them online and yada yada yada. I'm just like, wait a minute. I saw like that epic trailer for a new 3D printer that is just plug and play. You just buy it for $3,000 or $2,000. You put it there, put some stuff in there, you press a button and it comes out there. That is like Star Trek. When I was like a little kid and I watched like Star Trek and they had those hologram make something out of nothing, you just press a button. I'm like, wait a sec, this is now. It's like you buy this machine, you want this thing, you press it, and in like 15, 20, 30 minutes you got like that object. It's a physical object that you got out of nothing nearly. Obviously, like I'm just like got my mind blown. I'm like, where is this going? What like
Yeah.
the future is wild. I'm like, there's things that I'm like, whew, it's crazy.
Right.
So
But
we gotta stay on our toes and just keep on learning.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Because I mean, Ooh.
but don't learn but don't forget the old lessons too, right? So it still comes back to, like, connecting with people, right? It's always going to come back to these age old things, that made sense hundreds of years ago. You're still going to need to be able to talk to people. We have to get out of our technology holes and go talk to people still. So So I love that point of networking, right? That's the one thing. It doesn't matter what the technology is. We could be in spaceships going multi-planets, but we still got to talk to people. We still got to meet people to get clients. So if you're out there and you're
thinking about it,
if you're too scared for technology, just get good at talking to people, right? I think that's a skill.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what year it is. Get good at talking to people.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too, because I was just like, the old skills still work. I was just like, Sean, you're writing letters for business. Like, it's just so, it's something about,
you don't email that?
Stuff because I sent out emails for Christmas, but I was like, let me write that down, because writing letters it takes a whole different, like, oh my gosh, thank you. It does make another, like, based on business, you're just like, my clients will see this. And, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, oh, old school do still work, but I'm going to go back to computers. But, like, that, it makes a big difference. So, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I worked at a print shop for 3 years, and I would always tell people that when you got your first email ever, it was a special thing. You're like, whoa, what is this? Oh my god, I got an email. Let's open it. Where now, fast forward to now, how many emails do you get every single day, right? You get so many that there's no. It's an email. Hey, hope good day. You're like, okay, sure. But if I wrote it, you're like, Bill. Oh, what is this? And then a handwritten letter, and it, I want to get better at that too. It's all these like old school things, right? We just have to relearn all of these things now, because I think the world's too technological now. We have to get back to this kind of physical, it's like a hug, right? A hug is real. It's better than a hug emoji.
Oh yeah. Yes.
On that note, like, I feel like this is like the one thing where we really should focus on is like the networking, and I feel like in person is better, because like even with those cards that you handwrite, like how many real estate, I buy you a house, the font that looks like handwritten is just printed, even that is coming to a point where it's like it's not even real anymore. So you have to somehow authenticate, like, oh yeah, this is like a different pen than a printer would do, like let's ball pen, whatever it is, or like it needs to look real. So more organic is like, I think, like the new thing for 2023, like, be like the most real person, make it like nearly too real, like imperfect in some ways, so it looks not anymore fake. I feel like that is a big thing.
Like, yeah, especially with Instagram, some things I'm like, okay, you making it look extremely fake, or is it just that one moment? Because how can everything be so perfect for you? And it's just kind of hard to intimidate that, like, are you a real person, or are you just someone that's like overseas? Like, it's just, oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're exactly right. I mean, because it's funny how people try to now fake genuine. I mean, that's such a weird concept, but like, let's fake real stuff, where it's like, real estate person, how much money did you make off that house being sold? Just write the actual thing. Just write the actual card that says thank you. It takes 1 minute. I mean,
oh, dude, that's right now for hours for the whole city.
They have cards at the Dollar Tree. If you think it's expensive, go to the Dollar Tree. They have cards there even. I mean, so it's like, come on. But yeah, it's those genuine things. It's funny too, because I've had a few people I've had to like reteach to be a human in a weird way. I've had to like tell them, like, no man, it comes down to being real. Don't do these like big like fake cards or fake campaigns and things like that. Just like, no, just check in on people. Just that's all people want to know. It's that old school feeling. I know when my dad worked in business, he had a lot of people he worked with where, they would just call and be like, hey, how's the kids? How are things? Oh, how'd the dog do? I heard he got sick. And those little interactions, they go so far, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's something that I had to learn early on, is I just wanted to be like, it's just about the design. I'm gonna be in tunnel vision. I don't really want to hear about the other stuff, but know that other stuff's so important, right? Like, because we're humans, right? Our lives are more important than the stuff we do a lot of the time, but I think we forget that, right? Even when you go to a networking event, one thing I've started to do, like my first thing that I'll ask, instead of being like, what is it you do, is what do you do for fun? And I like to do that because, what do you do is kind of like, what it just shows that like the most important thing about you is your job. And And it's not. It's like, no, what makes you click? What makes you happy? And I like to start there, and then we can talk about your job. But I want to know, like, what do you do for fun? And it's funny because at a networking event, people get caught back because they're like, oh, I practice how to talk about my elevator pitch and what I do, but I didn't expect to talk about what I actually love to do. And it's really funny because you'll get an accountant that loves golf, or you'll get someone who's a marketing manager but she loves crochet, and it's just really cool to like kind of start there, start with the people, start with the person first, and then we'll work our way out to what you do, what's your job.
That's a good one. Yeah. I sometimes feel, though, if I would do that, when you, like, break the ice, because everybody wants to judge, like, who do I talk to? Like, I had that happening on, like, a networking event where I went to, and guy was, like, really high tier up. He buys agencies, like, media agencies, and I'm like, who do I talk to here? Well, like, this is kind of crazy. And he's just like, he didn't really want to talk to me because I was like so low tier, and he's just buying like multi-million agencies. It was a cool networking event, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm wasting his time. But if I would have talked like, what do you do for fun? That maybe would have worked, or it would not have, because he wanted to sort out who's like in the beginning already, like, who's important, who's not important. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's like really hard to judge, like, should I make myself first important, or should I just like be, just like fun? It's a weird concept for me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I remember this old statement when I was at the end of college. We visited this one firm, and we asked him, like, how do you hire designers, right? We're young designers. How do you hire young people? What do you look for? Is it these skills? Is it how good I am at answering the phone or emails? Like, what is it you look for? He's like, honestly, can I have a beer with you? That's what I look for first and foremost. If I can't have a beer with you, I'm not going to hire you for my firm, right? I don't want us to have this awkward back and forth. I don't want this, like, we can't jive, we can't hang out, we can't laugh. He's like, so that's my first and foremost, is like, if I can't have a beer with you, I don't care how good you are. Like, I really don't. Like, I need to have a family, people that I can jive with. And and so yes, if you're at a networking event and someone is higher level, and they're like, oh, I don't think this guy is really worth my time, I don't, they're kind of giving you that, I kind of say, finally, you're not really worth my time, right? If me asking you, like, what do you do for fun, and they're turned off by that, then I'm like, cool, I don't really want you on my team either. I don't care how important you are. You could be the president, and I'm trying to get the president's website, and I'm like, if he's not jiving, that's cool. I don't really want that on my team either. I can't have a beer with that guy. So I kind of, so I've started to think the same way.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So it's both ways. I think
because they're not better.
We get caught in this place, where we're like, we need clients. So whatever, it's all on them. And if we have to please them, it's like, no, they all, it's both ways, man. If they ain't jiving this way, then they're not a good client.
Yeah. It goes both ways. You're right, Sean. That's like some golden nuggets that he's dropping again.
For real. Because you don't want to get to the gig, and then next to it's just like,
can you do this, and like, oh.
Yeah, it's like awkward. Like, I went to this one gig, and that was my first that particular wedding. And it was just awkward, because I was just like, I didn't ask those important conversations of how the culture is and, X, Y, and Z. I was just like, oh, how's the bride? And that was it. And then when I got there and I met you, and I was just like, wait, hold on. I haven't been around this culture in so long. I don't even know, like, where to start. Like, what are they doing? Like, how, like, and they were doing something at the door where they were bribing the groom. And I was just like, what is that? And I'm like, I read about the culture so much, like the Indian culture, but I had never really interacted with the people as much. So I was just there like, do I do small talk? And when I was trying to have a little bit of small talk, it was just like, hey. Yeah. And then it just kind of kept going. And I'm just like, I don't know. So that is very important to understand that, is it going to be a good match? Ask about the people and ask these small questions. Because when, again, you're written the photo booth, you're written me too. And it's just like, I don't know what to say. Is it going to be offensive? It's not going to be offensive. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
So that's true.
Oh, yeah. And that's the extreme, right? I mean, it's so interesting. You're just thrown in these kind of cultural deep pools, right? Where you're just kind of like, I don't want to offend them, but I have to be outgoing. And yeah, it's a very interesting place. Again, it just comes down to, I guess, more just listening. You just have to be like listening to their culture and allowing them to be, especially Indian culture is so loud and vibrant in its own way. And And it's funny because it's a funny culture where they say what they think. They don't really hide anything.
Really?
So they they'll tell you if you got something on your nose. They have no problem to they'll come out and tell you. So it's very So I could definitely tell. I would be the same. Like, right, if I was at an Indian wedding, it's loud. There's all these colors. I would just kind of be in the corner like, okay, I'll just be here. If you guys want to talk to me, I'll just be over here.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think like we got an hour and 5 minutes nearly down, and I think that's a good amount for the first podcast in 2023. And yeah, so what will be your podcast named if you drop it this year?
Oh, I'm
So that we
gonna
can
do
like
23. But no, it's gonna be called Your Entrepreneur Sister.
Okay, and where can people find you? Like just in general.
Oh, in general, just Instagram. You're more than welcome to follow the 360 Photo Booth at KFM360 Photobooth. You could follow King the First Media. That'd be another one. I haven't did any like administration work in terms of like the like the Twitter, the Facebook, because I'm still trying to find a site so it could navigate itself. So if you got supporters, let me know. Oh, your face went up. You have pointers? No. Okay, just playing. So, and of course, my actual personal Instagram is Jonah Nelson, Gilna, and then it's is it bold and beautiful bold and beautiful G_. I'm barely on there. You can tell.
Oh, we will find it. Like, just drop a link in the comments, and we will
that part
put it in the bio. That part. Yeah. On this side, we got now merch and stuff. Sean, can you hold it up? You got your mug ready?
I don't have. I don't have the mug ready. One second.
Come on,
1 second.
Sean. Oh, yeah,
Wait,
we
what
got
happened
the designer.
now?
Yeah, so apparently he designed merch, and he bought the merch that he designed, and it looks pretty slick, just like I wanted to give it a little shout out so that we have like, hey, if you watch this podcast regularly and you want to show support for young creatives who are struggling, trying to make ends meet, this is the cup and the mug that you should do. Sean, hold it up.
Very beautiful mug.
Let me stop. The details. Hold on. Come on now.
You gotta
a
hold
little
it in the middle,
a little bit
in front of the mic.
Right there. Ooh, turn it around. Nice and simple.
Oh.
Ooh, that coffee's good.
Yeah, on that note, like
I
had a blast time. I'm like, this was a fun one. Thank you for being on our podcast and doing this thing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to your podcast. So yeah, definitely let us know when it's dropping, and maybe we'll be your guest. We'll be on. We're not woman entrepreneurs, but we can.
Sean on the weekend, he dresses up.
I need men. Like, that's the thing. I'm like approaching all these women. I'm like, do men talk too? I think so. Like, come on.
Sometimes too much. Sometimes we talk too much.
Really?
Yeah, there's another thing that I want to just drop. Like, it is so hard to be an entrepreneur as a female. It's like I don't know, like, how women grow up where they're like, okay, other people tell me what to do and I'm just doing, and there's not that confidence of like, hey, I figured it out myself. My wife, for example, she makes like dry shampoo for your hair and stuff like that, and so she does a lot of entrepreneurial stuff, but she has that that fear build up, like, can I just do that and stuff like that? And it's like all about mindset. And I think like women have to stick together and be like, no, girl, you're gonna talk up, you're gonna do this because you can do that. And that is like a big part. So I feel like that is like one of the things undervalued. And so you have like an obligation nearly to actually do that podcast and show your women. Yeah, no, I'm just like saying, like show them that they can do stuff because they can. And it's not like that we are smarter or anything. It's just like, no, we have just that confidence. Maybe we even lack sometimes the skill sets. Like, Rachel is so much better of a designer, than I am. And she did like those mugs, for example, like here, Create Before Consume, my other podcast, and she just did like shirts for me and whatever. And I'm just like, God damn. So she killed the game. And I'm just like, but the confidence, like I have more confidence. That's the only difference. And I'm just like, God damn. So you guys, you got to get that thing started, and you got to empower those women, and 2023 can be.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Yeah. Yeah. On that note, I just want to end the podcast. Or what do you guys
Hey,
think?
I just want to say thanks, Gilna. Thanks for being our first guest ever. You hopefully we were nice hosts to you, and yeah, just keep doing those 360 photos, and just keep being the ray of sunshine in everyone's wedding. So maybe I'll see you in a wedding here very soon.
Yes, if you're not married, maybe you're in a wedding. But I want to say thank you for having me as a guest. This is like my first time being on a podcast in a while, so I was just like, me, little me. Like I'm only 1.5. I mean, come on, like But thank you so much. You guys have been wonderful hosts. Cause I've been learning about Germany may be my little location. Settle down over there. Hey.
Me too.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just like telling you that it's a pretty neat spot if you like the weather. Like it's like Atlanta.
Hey,
you know, it's
I like
not too warm, not too
I'm-
cold. Kind of snows.
Love, hate Atlanta, but
I'm like,
my town.
yeah, I like the lizards and the palm trees. That's just me, you know. And why?
You know,
Like-
thank
like
you for
the sun.
thank you for allowing me to come to this podcast. No, to Germany, never mind.
On that note,
Have a good
one.
one, everyone.